So now that we've looked at an x squared and a square root function, we're now going to look at a rational function. We're going to figure out how to find the derivative of a rational function using the definition of the derivative, which is a proof basically. So this question says determine f prime of 3. We now know that to mean the derivative at x equals 3. So that's what we're going to do. We use the same steps as we learned in the previous examples. First thing we're going to do is write out the formula, which is called the definition of the derivative, which involves the difference quotient. F prime of x equals the limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. The next thing we're going to do is determine f of x plus h. Again, this formula only has one x in it, so every time there's an x, we're going to replace it with x plus h, and we're going to put parentheses around it, which is important because this minus basically winds up distributing to both the x and the h. But for now, we're just going to leave it this way inside the parentheses. So f of x plus h equals 1 over 2 minus parentheses x plus h. Alright, so now that we've done that, we're going to substitute our expressions into the formula. Instead of f of x plus h, we're going to plug in what that is equal to. This is f of x plus h, right? And instead of f of x, we're going to plug in what f of x equals, which is 1 over 2 minus x. So we have f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. So when you're dealing with rational functions, the question is, we've already done this several times, how are you going to get h to cancel? Last time with square root functions, we multiplied by the conjugate. With rationals, you want to group these f of x plus h minus f of x terms. In order to do that, you have to find a common denominator. It's going to look really complicated, but in essence, we want to multiply this fraction by the denominator of the other fraction, okay? And we want to multiply this fraction by the denominator of the other fraction. That way they have common denominators. And once we do that, we now have a common denominator, right? Of course, you have to multiply the numerators by the same thing. And now we can combine them, and so the common denominator goes here. The numerators subtract, and notice I'm subtracting this entire bracket. So keep that in mind. Okay, it's not just minus 2, it's minus this entire 2 minus x plus h. So now that we've done that, we can basically distribute this minus to both the 2 and the minus in front of the x plus h, so it becomes minus 2 plus x plus h. So now that we've done that, we can kind of already see, guess what? These 2's are going to cancel right here, 2 minus 2, and so is the minus x plus x. Again, our goal is to cancel a bunch of stuff out, so hopefully we just have an h on the top and bottom. So we're going to group those two together, so even though you don't really have to, you can just cancel them, and we'll group the minus x plus x. Now you notice the 2 minus 2 cancels and the minus x plus x cancels. You're left with just an h on top. So you have a fraction in the numerator, h over 2 minus x plus h times 2 minus x, and you have an h in the bottom. And guess what? If this is kind of like a over b divided by c, it's the same thing as a over b times 1 over c. So we're going to take this fraction and multiply by 1 over h. Okay, another example would be like 1/2 divided by 3. Be the same as 1/2 times 1/3, which is 1/6. Okay, so this is the same concept. And now we have an h on the bottom of the fraction, but we also have an h on the top. So guess what? Those will cancel out. Okay, so this h and this h will cancel, cross cancel basically. In fact, I'll even do that with my pen here. And now we're just going to be left with 1 over this. So again, step 5 is always to cancel those h's. That way you can plug in h for 0 and ultimately figure out what the derivative is. Before, you couldn't have done that because you would have had a 0 in the denominator, and we cannot divide by 0. So now we're going to plug in 0 for h. So every time there's an h, we're going to plug in a 0. So we end up with 2 minus x times 2 minus x, which is the same as 2 minus x squared. So again, we figured out a derivative formula is f prime of x is equal to 1 over 2 minus x squared. That will give us the derivative of our original function 1 over 2 minus x for any x value. Okay, but in this particular example, we want to figure out the derivative at 3. So we did figure out a formula for 1 over 2 minus x. All right, and again, the formula was 1 over 2 minus x squared. But we want to figure out what it is at 3. Again, if we wanted to figure out what it was at 5, we could just plug in 5 for x, and it would give us derivative at 5. But we want to figure out what it is at 3, so we plug in 3 for x. 2 minus 3 is -1, but -1 is squared. So guess what? Our derivative f prime of 3 is actually just equal to 1. Now what I find interesting about this is the formula for the derivative of 1 over 2x is 1 over 2 minus x is 1 over 2 minus x squared. It's strange when I first saw this, but you're going to learn later why that is when we learn specific derivative rules. So here is our graph of 1 over 2 minus x, and again we're concerned about what the derivative is at x equals 3. Again, notice that if we drag this green point closer and closer to the black point, this average rate of change, or this slope of the secant line, will approach the actual derivative, which is the tangent line. Let's go ahead and do that. You see our h is approaching 0 over here, and as it becomes 0, we get this orange line, which is actually 1. It kind of makes sense because it's kind of like the middle of this curve right here. Okay, it's like right in the middle. So it makes sense that the slope would be 1, and that's it. That's a graphical confirmation for our rational function derivative. If you have any other questions about the derivative of a rational function and finding it using the definition of the derivative, let me know.